Hello and welcome to What Went Right, where today I finally do a video on one of my favourite series, Disgaea, and the way it handles grinding and the feeling of progress. What's that? I'm also talking about Etrian Odyssey. I'm not even giving one of my favourite series its own video on my own channel. Curse you past me for writing the script this way. Well, anyway, without further ado, let's rock. What went right, Disgaea and Etrian Odyssey? Nose to the grindstone. Alright, let's kick things off with the most obvious and standard problem that can come up with grinding, the sheer repetitiveness of it. To counter this problem, you need to find a way to add variety to the grind. The way Disgaea does this is using random procedurally generated content through the item world levels, and this is enhanced via the effects geopanels can apply to a stage. Another key factor of a good grind is actually making it feel rewarding rather than just insignificant time wasting. A way of doing this is by providing something to measure your progress against. Etrian Odyssey does this via foes, which are big enemies which actually appear on the map rather than just randomly like regular enemies. These enemies will annihilate you on your first run through a dungeon, and you have to cautiously avoid their positions and movements as you traverse through. So when you come back later, actually able to take him on, it is incredibly satisfying and a great feeling of progress. Disgaea does similar with some of the post-game bosses that are massively more leveled and powerful than you when you first can access them. And again, when you're able to put up a proper fight, it makes the time spent grinding feel significant. One thing that can often be forgotten about when making a grind is building challenge into it. Now, you don't want all grinding options to be insanely difficult, as it is often used by less skilled players as a way to stand a chance. No, what I'm referencing is designing some kind of risk versus reward to it, and again, Etrian Odyssey's foes can be used as an example of this. You can run into glowing variants of these enemies, which provide much greater experience, but these variants grow stronger every turn, and given they are already the tougher enemies, there is a definite risk to aiming for that reward. Some games handle this kind of principle wrong, namely the Dragon Quest series. In those games, the metal slime types of enemies provide much more experience than any regular enemies. However, these enemies have massive defense and evasion, which leads to requiring special skills to take them out. Oh, and they will also run away a lot. They aren't very powerful, so there's not a risk to fighting them. Instead, it just becomes much more frustrating. And due to how ridiculous the amount of experience you get from them is, it essentially becomes required to grind via these enemies, as the experience points needed to level is kind of built around this fact. Something you probably want to do when building grind is to try and limit the grind, as counterintuitive as that sounds. What I mean by that is that you want to discourage the player from just dwelling too much in one spot. In Etrian Odyssey, the items you can get are based on what you bring back from dungeons and beaten enemies, so there are significant upgrade rewards for pushing on, which encourages the player to keep a reasonable level of challenge in the game rather than over leveling early on. In Disgaea, you may want to try and unlock the kindness dimension for tougher enemies so you can level up faster, or in 5 story, new overloads are tied to story progression, so again there are significant upgrades for pushing on. Something else Disgaea does which is important is that it provides options to reduce the time wasted. Disgaea has elaborate animations for special attacks. However, in the options menu you can turn these off, cutting down on a lot of unnecessary visual repetition. Furthermore, in the last 2 entries there has been the addition of the cheat shop, which allows you to vary up the percentages of how you are rewarded, i.e. you can reduce the money you get to 0% and give an extra 100% to experience points. This allows you to direct the grind towards what you are after. And the final point here is again tied to Disgaea alone. In my free to play video, I mentioned how for levelling up, it is more frequent for early levels and becomes slower to higher you level. Well, Disgaea kind of throws it out the window. Levelling and increasing in power becomes easier and quicker the more time and effort you put into it. Using your own skill and initiative, you can improve the rate of growth. Essentially, you can become better at grinding, like pretty much every other skill in games. It's just a simple idea, yet it's shocking I've never seen another developer do it. Well, thanks for watching, but I'm afraid I don't think you're ready for the end joke. Go fight off 20 bears and then we'll see.